Here on the FM Scout channel, we've made plenty of videos about the best players that you should buy in Football Manager, but today we're turning the tables. Instead, we're going to be looking at 10 players that you should avoid at all costs. These guys are not worth signing. Now, when we've made videos like this in the past, we focus mainly on injury proneness and a low consistency rating. Now, these are attributes that are hidden in the game under the hood that you can only see with the in-game editor. So Reece James, for example, could have been an option when we spoke about injury-prone players that you shouldn't sign, but today we're taking a different approach. We'll be looking at players with either a high controversy rating, which basically means that they are going to cause a fuss in your club. If anything goes wrong, they are going to be right there speaking to the media. Imagine a Mario Balotelli type. He'd be someone with high controversy, and we'll also be focusing on players with low adaptability. So these are people that if you sign them to a new nation, they might struggle to adapt. So if you bought, say, a player from the Brazilian leagues with low adaptability, when they come over to, say, the Premier League, they'll really struggle and you won't get the results you're expecting. So we've got 10 of those players to get into today, and I think some of these will surprise you. So let's start off with player number 1. And that is going to be David Hansko, who is a Slovakian international at Feyenoord that is being linked heavily in real life to some very big clubs. I think Juventus were linked, Liverpool last season, I believe were linked also after his great performance for Slovakia. And with all of these players, I am not saying that you couldn't get good results out of them. Of course you could, but they just run that risk of not working for you. For example, the controversial players, you run that risk of them causing a big uproar, a mutiny in the dressing room if you upset them in any way. And with David Hansko, he is one of those with low adaptability. In fact, out of 20, he has an adaptability rating of 4. So he's currently playing in the Netherlands, and if he now went to a new nation that isn't Slovakia, basically, he is going to struggle. So if you sign him for a Premier League team, he is going to take a lot longer to get up to speed. Now, with adaptability, it can kind of be worked around with time. So whilst Hansko might not be great straight away, over the course of, say, a year, you might start getting some results out of him. But realistically, when you sign a player, you want results, particularly one that's going to cost you around 20 million. So as good as a player as he might look, as good as a left back and centre back option he may be, with that adaptability rating, I would say you want to stay clear. So now you get the idea of the kind of players that we're going to be looking at. Basically, in the Christmas theme, we are looking at the naughty list, basically, the players that you don't want to bring in. But if you do go on to enjoy this video, or you get any use out of it, or you just want to share that Christmas cheer, then it would be really great if you could go down and smash that like button for us. And if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you do so. Consistent, nearly daily Football Manager videos for you guys. If you are a Football Manager fan, you want to be subscribed to the channel as we close in on 200k subs. And the final thing is I want you guys to let me know down below which player never works out for you. Who would you say to everyone else that reads the comments, don't sign that player? I want to know your picks. But we'll continue with the defenders for our next pick, who is Gianluigi Manini. Now, he is an Italian international, 27 years of age, playing for Roma. He's in the prime of his career, and he's wanted in this save by Newcastle. And I would say, if you see Newcastle going for him, let them do it, because this is not a player that you want to sign. And that might surprise you, because again, you look at his attributes and you think he is exceptional. And to be honest, in terms of his ability on the pitch, he is. But he has a very high rating for controversy. He's got a rating of 17 out of 20. And what that will mean is, if you get into, say, a contract disagreement with him, if you can't agree a new deal with him and he asks for too much money, instead of him being like, okay, we'll rework this next time we come to contract negotiations, he will be speaking out to the media, he'll be asking to leave, he's then going to get players on his side, particularly someone like Manini will be a leader in your side in no time with the leadership rating that he has. So there'll be players that will take his side, it will cause big upset in your squad. And if you know anything about Football Manager, dynamics are hugely important as transfers and tactics. If you don't have the right dynamics and happiness at your club, you're going to get into trouble. And Manini is certainly a troublemaker in game. Now, it tends to be with these controversy ratings that there's a story behind it, a reason as to why these players are considered controversial. But I've got to say, I don't know the story for any of these guys. So if I'm missing something, let me know. But Manini in game does have a very high controversy rating. Then we move on to a Dutch midfielder who I know a lot of people actually like to sign in FM, but I'm going to suggest that you look for other options. Again, it could work, I'm not saying it won't, but Joey Verman is a player that I would steer clear of. He's a 24-year-old Dutch international playing at PSV, valued at about 15 million, who's got a great passing range. He's got 17 passing, 16 vision, 13 technique. He works hard, and there isn't really much here that you would consider wrong, but you will see on his coach report low adaptability. Now, if you don't know, with hidden attributes, you can't see it with the in-game editor. However, your scout report will usually give you an idea if there is an issue with the player. So we can see he's going to have problems living in a new country. So if you brought him to, say, the Premier League, he is going to struggle with that. On the opposite end of the spectrum, he is a really consistent player. So it is really harsh to say that he is someone that you shouldn't sign. But I think for the money that you'll be paying and the other options around there, the fact that he's going to take a while to adapt to your team, and the fact that he's actually also a very controversial player too. He's got a rating of 14 out of 20 for controversy, which isn't the end of the world, but it does mean he might kick up a fuss. And again, being a leader type of player, he's going to get players on his side. The fact that he won't adapt to a new country for a while, the fact that he could cause issues in terms of controversy, I'm going to say Joey Verman is not a player you want to sign. Before we continue with our Christmas themed naughty list, if you want to know some players that you should sign, then you might want to check out my channel, linked in the description down below. Over there, I do YouTube shorts about Football Manager, about players you might want to sign, but also I do some full-length 40-minute rebuilds where we take over clubs and try and take them to glory, and I think they're great fun. I think you guys would really enjoy them if you went and checked it out. So if you do anything for me this Christmas, head on over to my channel in the description after this video, of course. Check out the videos, and I'm sure you will like it. And we're closing in on 50k subs over there, so any support towards that target would be great. But let's get back to our other 7 players we still need to cover. And we have the former Wonderkid and regular Swiss international Breel Embolo, who is an important player at Monaco, so he is someone that if you do want to sign him, you're really going to have to prize him away from his current club. Now, realistically, it won't be in Season 1 because he has got a massive injury. He's out for a whole year, but he is a pretty good player, and one that I think many of you, if he became available, would be looking to potentially sign because he is a very good talent. The issue is, once again, this is a controversial player. I don't know the story behind it. I don't know the story for any player. Maybe there is no story, but Breel Embolo has a very high controversy rating. In fact, it's one of the highest that we're looking at in today's video. I don't know what the guy's been up to, but he isn't someone that I would suggest you sign. I mean, I think the value would put most people off anyway. Monaco clearly consider him a big player. You're going to have to be a bigger side than Monaco to take him away, and you're going to have to offer a pretty mega fee. And for a player that's getting towards the prime of his career, who's got a long-term injury, I think you would look elsewhere anyway, but hopefully, now that you know that he's going to be controversial, you might want to avoid him. We move to a Croatian international next, though, with Josip Brcar, who is playing for Hajduk Split in Croatia, on loan from Fiorentina. He was at Wolfsburg in the past, Torino, Dinamo Zagreb, Stuttgart. It seems he doesn't really want to stay in one place for all that long, and it might be because he is a controversial player. Maybe teams don't want to hang on to him. I don't know the reasoning behind it, but what I do know is pretty quickly in a lot of your saves, he will become available from Fiorentina. So basically, after this year-long loan with Hajduk Split, he comes back to Fiorentina, and they don't tend to fancy him. You'll often find him on the transfer list, and if you're, say, a low-level Premier League team in Season 2 and you see him available on the market, he is a tempting option because he is fairly versatile, but as a left winger, he's got a lot going for him. I mean, there are some weaknesses in his game mentally. I mean, he's not much of a leader. He's not really going to work very hard for you, and I don't think he's really going to do anything defensively at all. But once you know that he's a very controversial pick, I think that will kind of tip you over the edge as to not signing him. I would not suggest him, even though he seems like he's got years in the tank and could still be a very good player. I would say steer clear of Josip Brcar. Up next, we have Francisco Conchicao, who is probably one of 2 players in this list I see people buying on a regular basis, not just every now and then. We'll get to the other one later, but Conchicao is someone I know a lot of people tend to go for. I mean, he's on loan at Ajax, he's a Porto player, he tends to be available for a decent fee, and is someone that is, of course, a Wonderkid. I mean, he's 20 years of age, he's got potential, he's had some moments in his real-life career already that make it out like he is going to be a top talent, and looking at him here, it's hard to argue that he isn't a worthwhile signing, but once you know about this guy's adaptability, I don't think you'll want him. And actually, this is the only player where I will actually show you the hidden attributes. I don't like to show them because some people consider it spoiling the game, but for those of you that have stuck around, I'm going to show you what I'm actually talking about. So if you use the in-game editor and you go to player attribute details, you'll find out some hidden attributes about their personality that make up the kind of player they are. So for him, he's a very controversial player. He's also only got 5 for adaptability, and loyalty is only 3. So he is basically a walking red flag, even though he's not very injury prone and he's pretty good when it comes to consistency and important matches. The fact that he's pretty controversial, isn't going to stay loyal, and also won't adapt to a new nation, I think is enough to make me feel like he is not someone that I want to go for, because he's not the cheapest in the world, and I think there's better options out there when it comes to young, promising right wingers. So if you take anything from this video, I would say if you've got Kaca on your shortlist, pick the other guy that you've got on there with him. Up next, we have a pretty enticing Brazilian option who is playing for Cruzeiro in Brazil. This is Wesley, who is a 24-year-old Brazilian national who, again, you look at him and go, that's a pretty tidy player. I mean, he's 24, not yet in his prime. He's available for 3 or 4 million probably there. If you were going to go out and buy him, he would probably join most clubs in either, say, the high level of the Championship or Premier League level, if we use England as an example. And the attributes look pretty good, particularly if you're looking for, say, an inside forward on that left-hand side. He likes to cut inside with the ball from the left wing, and he's got 12 finishing, 15 dribbling, 14 first touch. So what is Wesley's issue? Well, in theme with this video, he is on Santa's naughty list. He has got a 17 rating for controversy out of 20. Now, is that enough to completely put you off? That's totally up to you, but I think if you're looking at him as an option and you've got 3 or 4 million, there will be better options out there, and I'm hoping that that controversy rating will at least guide you a little bit in terms of not signing him. Again, I'm not saying it wouldn't be successful. You can have success with any of these players, but just bear in mind, if something goes wrong with Wesley, if you stop playing him, if you tell him he's going to be an important player and only give him the minutes of a regular starter, if you don't offer him a new deal, whatever it might be, he's not just going to sit there and take it quietly. He will tell the media, he will tell everyone, he will kick up a fuss, and you'll have to deal with the consequences. Into our final 3 picks now though, so don't forget, if you are enjoying, to like the video and let us know down below who you wouldn't sign. I'd love to hear who you've had bad experiences with in FM, but let's check out our final 3. And if you've ever seen these don't sign lists, you will know Gabriel Barbosa makes pretty much every single one of them. Now, it always hurts me to say it because he used to be so good in FM, and actually, as an option at Flamengo in Brazil, 50 million is nothing for this kind of player. He looks exceptional when it comes to his attributes, and you can get some good tunes out of him, you really can, but will it last too long? Probably not, and there's a few reasons why. The first one is he is controversial. He has a high rating for controversy. The second, many of you will know, Gabriel Barbosa has struggled in his career to adapt to new nations, and that is reflected in FM. He has got a very low rating for adaptability. Obviously, he made that move to Bruneri, Inter Milan, whatever this new fix is that's happened to FM, where they've lost the rights to Inter Milan, I hate, but Bruneri was the team that he went to, supposedly, and he basically didn't do anything there. Got loaned out to Portugal, didn't do anything there. When he went to Brazil, he looked great, came back to Italy, and again, it just never seems to work, and it's only in Brazil where this guy seems to be able to find a tune. So when you've got the controversy and the adaptability, that will put you off already. And when I say he's not an adaptable player, I mean he is probably the least adaptable player in the game. He has a rating of 2 out of 20, he has a rating of 18 for controversy, so he is just the worst of the worst. Even though he is Mr. Big Matches, he is great in important matches. Overall, you're not going to get results straight away, more than likely, with that adaptability. You might be able to work around it, but realistically, he won't be playing to his best, and he's going to cause problems at some point, and being the leader that he is, he'll be taking the dressing room down with him. We've got another young winger here, though, who I know many people do end up signing, Christian Oliveira of LAFC in the American divisions. He's 21 years of age and a Uruguayan international. He's got some good attributes. He can play either wing, and you'll look at that and go, great, let's go and sign him. He's only going to cost me about 8 million. But of course, he's in this list for a reason, and his reason is his controversy rating. Now, out of anyone, I would maybe think with the other hidden attributes that he's got, you could maybe work around this, because he is a pretty nice player in terms of everything else in his hidden attributes and also on paper, and the potential he's got. He's also not really a leader, so he won't bring down people with him. So you could make this one work. I'm not saying you can't, but 8 million quid for a 21-year-old winger from the MLS. I know with that money, there are probably 20, 25 better options out there that you could buy straight away in season one for that same price of a similar caliber of club that will do a better job for you. So I would say if Christian Oliveira is on your shortlist, don't go for him. And our final player is Otavio, the Portuguese international playing at Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia. Realistically, you won't sign him from them. What tends to happen though is at the end of his contract in 2026, he's a free agent of just over 30 years of age, and he will still look like a very good option. The former Porto man is a very good player when it comes to his attributes, and obviously earned himself a £51 million move. There is a good talent here. He's also consistent and good in important matches, which is normally enough to sell me on a player, but he is very controversial. He can adapt to any nation. He's got adaptability at a good level. He's fine, but he is a very controversial player. And interestingly as well, if you want to know, he has got a rating of 18 out of 20 for dirtiness. Now, that's probably not going to affect you all that much if I'm being honest, but controversy has the potential to. So for that reason, Otavio, for the money that he's going to want, I would say spend your money elsewhere. He's going to want Saudi wages when he finishes in this league. So I would say avoid him. He makes my naughty list. Let me know if you think I've got any of these wrong. I'm sure some of you will have success stories with some of these players, but most of the time, there are going to be issues. Now, this should come out on Christmas Eve if all goes well, so if it does, happy holidays, Merry Christmas for anyone that's celebrating. Hope you're all happy, healthy, hope you all enjoy your time with your family, and we'll see you after Christmas time. The videos will not stop, so I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.